All right, so you're like me, right? Super interested in like the whole future of the internet thing.
Absolutely.
And you keep hearing all this buzz about like decentralized domains, deaded domains, ArcBlock, all these like kind of sci-fi sounding things.
For sure.
And you're just like, okay, what is all of this? Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be diving into today. We've got a bunch of articles about the future of domains.
Cool.
We've got some deep dives into DD domain features. We've even got some pretty technical documentation about like ArcBlock's implementation of all this.
Awesome.
So we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty today.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's funny, isn't it, how we always talk about the internet as this like free and open space.
Right. Yeah.
But so much of it is actually built on like these systems of control.
Totally.
Especially when it comes to domain names.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know about you, but I've definitely had those moments of panic when I realize my domain name's about to expire.
Oh.
Or you hear those horror stories about people like losing their websites completely.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole censorship thing. It makes you wonder, like, do we actually own our little corner of the internet?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the heart of the problem, right? With traditional domains, you're not really owning, you're more like renting.
Right.
You're at the mercy of these registrars, you've got renewal fees, you're always at risk of hacking, or even just like straight up seizure.
Yeah, it's like building your dream house, but it's on rented land.
Exactly.
You might put in all the work, but it's not really yours.
Exactly.
And that's where ArcBlock comes in.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, so they've got this service called DD domain, and they're really trying to change the game here. They're using blockchain technology, decentralized identity, also called DD.
Right.
And, you know, one thing I keep seeing popping up in all these articles is NFT, NFTs, NFTs, NFTs.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
So is a DD domain like the same as owning a piece of digital art, but instead of like a cool image, you own your website address?
You got it. That's a great way to put it. So your DD domain actually exists as an NFT on a blockchain.
Okay.
Which means it's unique, it's verifiable, and you actually own it.
Oh.
No more renewal fees, no more worrying about somebody hijacking your online presence.
So you're not just renting space, you're actually owning a piece of the internet.
Exactly.
That's pretty revolutionary.
It is.
But what does that actually mean, like, for the everyday user? Like, why should we care?
Yeah, that's the important part. It's not just about the tech, it's about what it can do.
Right. Well, the sources we've got here highlight 5 main advantages. And the first one that really jumps out is this: true ownership, no renewal fees.
Music to my ears. No more panicking about expirations.
Right. So with a DD domain, you hold the keys literally in your digital wallet. It's yours permanently.
It's all about putting the control back in the hands of the user.
Imagine that, never having to worry about your domain expiring or dealing with those pesky renewal notices.
Was.
Right. I mean, no more panicking because you forgot to renew and somebody snatched up your domain name.
Ugh, the worst.
That alone sounds like a huge relief.
Absolutely. And because it's built on blockchain, you also get the added benefit of decentralized security. That's our second big advantage.
Oh, okay. So no single point of failure.
Right.
So does that mean like domains are basically hacker-proof?
Well, I wouldn't say proof. Nothing is ever completely foolproof.
Right.
But it does make them significantly more resilient to attacks. I mean, think about it. To really cause damage, hackers would have to compromise the entire blockchain network.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly difficult to do.
Right.
It also makes them way more resistant to seizures or takedowns by central authorities.
Okay, which brings us to the third advantage: enhanced privacy.
Yeah.
Our sources mentioned something about getting rid of those WHOIS directories, the ones that can like expose our personal information.
Yeah, that's a huge privacy concern with traditional domains. All your info is linked to your domain through WHOIS. With DID domains, you have way more control over what you share. It's all based on the principles of decentralized identity.
So you get to choose what information is linked to your domain.
Exactly.
Okay, so more control over my data. I like the sound of that.
It's a big win.
But our sources also talk about seamless crypto and dApp integration.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting. Now we're talking about the future.
Right. This is where it starts to feel like we're stepping into the future. So how does that work?
Okay, so think of your DID domain as like a user-friendly key to the whole decentralized web.
Okay.
It could be your identifier for crypto wallets, for transactions, for interacting with dApps.
There's no more struggling to remember those crazy long wallet addresses.
Exactly. No more copying and pasting endless strings of random characters.
I could definitely see the appeal in that.
It's a game changer for usability.
Right. So much easier. So we've covered true ownership, enhanced security, greater privacy, and this seamless integration with a decentralized web.
We're on a roll.
We've got one more advantage left, and it's a big one. Censorship resistance.
This is huge, especially in the world we live in today.
Yeah, so because DD domains are decentralized, they're really hard to censor.
Right.
No single entity can just shut down your website or silence you.
It's about empowering individuals.
So for journalists, activists, or anyone working in a place with strict internet controls, this could be a really big deal, right?
Absolutely. It's a potential game changer. It puts the power back in the hands of the individual. No one can just flip a switch and make your content disappear.
That's incredibly empowering. Okay, so it all sounds fantastic in theory, but I got to ask, is it really that simple? How does all this actually work on a technical level?
Well, it might sound complicated, but it's actually pretty straightforward.
Okay.
One of our sources here actually breaks it down in a piece called Core Features of DD Domain. And it explains how these domains combine something called decentralized identifiers, DIDs,
Okay.
verifiable credentials,
Oh, yeah.
and NFTs to manage everything.
Okay, so those are some pretty techie terms.
Yeah, let's unpack those a bit.
Can you break those down for us? Like, what exactly are DIDs and verifiable credentials?
All right, so imagine a DID as like your digital passport for the online world.
Okay.
It's a unique identifier that you control.
Okay.
You can use it to prove your identity or ownership without revealing sensitive personal information.
So like showing your driver's license to prove your age,
Yeah.
but without giving away your address and all your personal details.
Exactly. It's all about giving you more control over your data and your identity.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So it's starting to see how this all fits together, but what about the technical side of like actually setting up and managing a DID domain?
Right.
It sounds like it could be kind of complicated.
I hear you, but it's actually designed to be pretty user-friendly. ArcBlock handles a lot of the complexity behind the scenes. They've even got something called automated domain routing.
Okay, automated domain routing. What's that all about?
So think about it this way. Sometimes websites go down because their IP address changes.
Right.
It's like moving to a new house.
Right.
With DD domains, ArcBlock automatically updates those addresses.
Oh, okay.
So your website stays online even if its location on the internet changes.
Oh, so no more frantic calls to your web hosting provider when your site goes down.
Exactly.
That's a relief.
Much less stress.
Yeah. Speaking of hosting, one of our sources mentioned something called DD domain hosting.
Yeah.
Is that like traditional web hosting, but for like the decentralized web?
Exactly. It's like having your own little plot of land in this new digital world.
And I see you can also get a Web3 profile if you host with ArcBlock.
Yep.
What's that all about?
Think of it as your digital business card for the decentralized internet.
Okay.
It lets you connect your social media, your crypto wallets, your NFTs, even decentralized applications, all in one place under your deity domain.
So it's like a central hub for all your online activities, but it's all under your control,
Yeah.
not tied to any one platform.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. So we've talked a lot about the technical details.
Yeah.
One of our sources makes a pretty bold statement. The future of domains is decentralized.
It's a bold claim, but I think there's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah, I mean, do you really think that's where we're headed?
When you look at all the advantages we've talked about, true ownership, enhanced security, more privacy, seamless integration with the decentralized web, and censorship resistance, it's hard to argue against it.
It definitely feels like DD domains could be a real game changer.
I think so too.
I'm particularly intrigued by this idea of using them for things beyond just websites.
Yeah, it goes way beyond that.
Our sources kind of touch on the potential for blockchain transactions and payments.
Absolutely.
Did domains become like our digital identity for all sorts of online interactions?
It's a very real possibility. As Web3 continues to evolve, day domains could become the foundation for a much more user-centric, secure, and private online experience.
So imagine a world where you control your data, your identity, and your online presence, free from the limitations of the current system.
That's the vision.
That's a compelling vision.
It is.
And it seems like ArcBlock is really at the forefront of making this vision a reality.
Definitely.
So for someone listening to this who's like completely new to all of this, what would be the first step to explore this new world of decentralized domains?
I think the best starting point is to check out domain.didlabs.org.
Okay, domain.didlabs.org.
They have a ton of great resources and information about deity domains and how to get started.
Awesome. As we wrap up this first part of our deep dive, I keep coming back to this idea of true ownership and control.
Yeah.
Such a powerful concept.
It is.
What if this idea goes way beyond just domains?
That's a great question.
What if deep domains are just the beginning of a much larger shift in how we interact with the internet?
Yeah, a shift towards a more equitable, decentralized, and user-empowered online experience.
That's a future full of possibilities, and I'm honestly pretty excited to see it unfold.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting ride.
For sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to continue our deep dive into decentralized domains.
Sounds good. Yeah, it really does feel like we're on the cusp of something huge.
It's not just about websites anymore. It's about rethinking our whole relationship with the digital world.
Exactly. And for me, a big part of that is shifting the power dynamics away from these giant centralized platforms back to the users.
Right, giving individuals more control.
And D2D domains powered by blockchain and decentralized identity, they seem like a key piece of that puzzle.
So let's take a step back for a sec and do a quick recap for our listeners.
Okay, sounds good.
So D2D domains are built on blockchain tech. They're represented as NFTs, and they just offer a whole bunch of advantages compared to the traditional domain system.
Yeah, we're talking true ownership, enhanced security, way more privacy, seamless integration with the decentralized web.
Right, and of course that big one, resistance to censorship.
Can't forget about that one.
So for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm sold, how do I get started? What would you say is the best way to learn more and maybe even get a DID domain?
Well, there's one place that's a fantastic starting point. Head over to domain.didlabs.org.
All right, domain.dlabs.org. Got it.
We've got tons of resources and information on DID domains and how to get your hands on one.
Awesome. And, as we start to wrap things up here, I keep finding myself coming back to this whole idea of true ownership and control.
Yeah, it's really at the heart of this whole movement.
It's a pretty powerful concept, right? What if this idea extends way beyond just domains, though?
Now you're talking. That's where things get really interesting.
Like, what if domains are just the very beginning? What if this idea of true ownership and decentralized identity takes over the whole internet?
I mean, think about it. Everything from social media to online shopping, even managing your entire digital footprint.
Could all be based on this same decentralized model.
It's a future worth exploring for sure.
It really is. It's a future that's full of possibilities.
Absolutely.
All right, well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
This has been a great conversation.
It has, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your expertise with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're on the verge of something big here.
It's not just about websites anymore, right?
It's about, like, reimagining how we interact with the whole digital world.
Exactly, and for me, a big part of that is this shift in power,
Yeah.
moving away from these huge centralized platforms and back to the users themselves.
Giving individuals more control.
Exactly, and domains,
Yeah.
powered by blockchain, decentralized identity, they seem like a really crucial piece of that puzzle.
I think so.
So let's do a quick recap for everyone listening just to bring it all together.
Good.
So Diddy domains, they're built on blockchain technology.
Okay.
They're represented as these NFTs.
Yep.
And they offer a whole bunch of advantages compared to that, kind of clunky old traditional domain system.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're talking true ownership,
Huge.
enhanced security,
Definitely.
way more privacy,
Absolutely.
seamless integration with the decentralized web.
Can't forget that.
And of course, that big one, resistance to censorship.
Absolutely crucial.
So for anyone listening who's like, okay, I'm in, I'm sold, where do I start?
Yeah.
What's the best way to learn more about this and maybe even get a DID domain?
There's one place that's a fantastic starting point, and that's domain.didlabs.org.
Okay, domain.didlabs.org. Got it.
They've got tons of great resources, lots of information on DD domains, how to get your hands on one, all that good stuff.
Perfect. And as we wrap up today,
Yeah.
I keep finding myself coming back to this idea of true ownership and
Yeah.
control.
It's powerful.
Such a powerful concept, right? But what if this idea extends way beyond just domains?
Ooh, now you're getting into it.
Like, what if Diddy's domains are just the very beginning? What if this idea of true ownership and decentralized identity takes over the whole internet?
I mean, think about it.
Everything from social media to online shopping,
Yeah.
even managing your entire digital footprint
Totally.
could be based on this same decentralized model.
It's a future worth exploring, that's for sure.
It really is, a future that's full of possibilities. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
This has been a great conversation.
It really has, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and share your expertise with us.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And folks, until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.